The moment it connected, steam rose. The sound of sizzling filled the air. Of course, the troll's roar of pain was multiple times louder. The troll fixed its wild eyes on Enfira. It didn't seem to be paying any attention to Henry anymore. Hurry up and go, get help. It was even more foolish to stand around doing nothing. Stay safe. With those parting words, Henry set off running. The troll didn't seem to be coming after her. Honestly, there was no chance of him surviving. There was an insurmountable gap in their stats. Enfira didn't stand a chance against a monster only gold-rank adventurers could fight. Lasting even a minute would be praiseworthy. That's how hopeless the battle was. Yeah, I am definitely gonna die. Enfira smiled wryly at the troll, which was cautiously on the move. Regeneration didn't work on wounds from acid or fire. Enfira had trumped the troll's greatest ability, so that's probably why it was on guard, but its worry was misplaced. If the troll just leaped at him like normal, it would surely win. So all Enfira could do was laugh. Well, it works in my favor. Hypnotism. There was no change in the troll's hostile attitude. It seemed resistant to the spell. When it realized its opponent was casting magic, it charged. The sight of the hulking figure drawing nearer was nightmarish as Enfira watched. I would have lasted a little longer if it had worked. Am I that unlucky? Too bad. Enfira felt discouraged. He had no chance of winning. He knew he'd gone beyond brave to reckless, but still he had to buy more time for Henry. That thought moved him. When he saw the troll raise its left arm, he dashed forward and to the left. Inspired to escape his impossible situation, he dove for safety at the end of the most dangerous path. He felt the whoosh of the fist striking down behind him blow through his hair. A wall-like leg came at him. His field of vision spun. From inside his body, he heard noises like snapping branches. He crashed into the ground and tumbled across it like a piece of trash. Pain coursed through his body. Rather than an acute pain, it was more pain than he had ever felt in his entire life. But it's amazing that I am alive. I am so awesome he was alive thanks to the defensive magic he had cast. Also, the troll had kicked at him from an unstable posture. Stabbing pains assailed him when he coughed, but he stood and cast a spell, Acid Arrow. The troll was about to follow up with another attack, but stopped in its tracks. It was wary of the acid scorch on the ground at its feet. Yes, exactly what he wanted. His objective was to buy time. If his opponent hesitated to attack out of wariness, he would be happy for it to stay wary forever. Besides, the next attack would surely kill him. It hurts. I don't want to die, he whimpered in spite of himself. That's life. No one wanted to admit it, but there came a time for everyone when they had no other choice. For Enfira, that time was now. He was going to die here. I'm going to die right now without a doubt. He wanted to run away. If he ran with all his might, maybe he could get away. But if he did that, what a tragedy it would be. He thought of Henry. It was because of her that he could fight like this. Well, I told her, he said, so I guess it's no. I don't want to die without hearing her answer. He figured he couldn't get the troll closing in to understand the heart of a boy in love. Buying time was now impossible. For some reason, he was able to read exactly what the troll was thinking from its hideous expression. The monster was prepared to sustain damage in order to kill him. In that case, Acid Arrow, the most he could do was leave it a little worse for wear for whoever came to fight it after him. The troll's face twisted up with the burning pain, and it raised a fist. Already in so much pain he could barely stand, Enfira had no idea how to block it. Please hurry. 3 goblins led by Henry rushed to Enfira's aid. The reason they met up wasn't that Henry had reached the front gate. Since Enfira and Henry hadn't come back, and mysterious screaming could be heard from the rear, their leader had split his already meager force and dispatched 3 troops. If she had sat tight a little longer, they would have arrived regardless. The thought filled her to bursting with guilt. They had just a little bad luck. If it were NT for that over there, Henry was pointing at Enfira. Before him, the troll was raising its fist. They wouldn't reach him. The distance was too great. He would get hit with the troll's pounding fist, a blow strong enough to break a house. His death was certain. In the darkness of her closed eyes, Henry heard the goblins gasp. It was an indication of their shock. The reaction struck her as out of place, so she cautiously opened her eyes and yeesh, your health bar's in the red there. Are you okay? Saw a beautiful woman holding a huge weapon. Lupus Regina had thrust her huge sigil-shaped weapon out from the side and blocked the troll's fist. Considering how thick and huge the arm was, it seemed impossible. It was neither a dream nor an illusion. Okay, I'll take this guy. You hurt pretty badly, huh? NFI, heal. The troll took a step back. It couldn't comprehend what it was seeing. It was only natural, since a mysterious person had appeared out of nowhere and blocked its full-powered blow. Maybe it thought she was some sort of magic being. With a dazed expression, Enfira turned his back to the troll and began walking. He was utterly unguarded, but the troll didn't attack. No, it couldn't because that would mean ignoring the one standing in its way. NFI, Henry squeezed him. Oh, it's you. His hazy response, spoken as if from a dream, alerted her to how critical his condition was. They had managed to snatch him from the jaws of death, but his psychological shock was surely critical. I am glad you're okay, you two. Henry felt something warm returning to her heart, replacing the cold she felt when she thought Enfira would die. I am really glad you're okay. She hugged him hard. You too. His hands went around her, hugging her back. It was a tight embrace, but comfortable. Her tears overflowed and ran down her cheeks. What's wrong, idiot? Sorry to bug you while you're flirting, but they both let go at the same time. She turned to Lupus Regina, a little sad about that. Lupus Regina, the troll. She shifted her gaze and saw something that defied description. Oh yeah, he looks like a raw hamburger over there. Just grill him up and he's done. In the direction her bloody holy staff was pointing, there was a gory lump of meat on the ground. Nothing showed that it had once been a troll. The sight of it trying to regenerate was beyond horrifying and made Henry feel sick. I am glad you're both all right. It seems like the other guys did okay too. Henry heard the voices of the other goblins coming their way. It sounded like the fight by the front gate had ended in victory. Hup. A red column like fire raining from the sky enveloped the troll, and the stink of burning flesh filled the air. That's it for the troll. Anyhow, my work here is done, so I am going to head back. Lord Aints highly praises your work on the purple potion and would like to invite you to his house, so you better prepare yourself. He said to look forward to it. As if she'd said everything she wanted to say, she turned on her heel and headed for the back gate. Thank you. The eccentric maid neither turned around nor stopped at Henry's shout, but just waved a hand. Boss lady, boss man, we'll lead everyone over here. Please rest. The goblins ran off without listening for a reply. Henry thought they could have left at least one behind, but she was more worried about Enfira, so she lent him a shoulder as they walked. Few their sides overlapped coincidentally. Then they both looked up at the stars at almost exactly the same time. She saved us. Yeah, we were lucky. Yeah, I never want to do anything like this ever again. Yeah. Silence fell between them. Then Henry suddenly remembered something. I don't know if I love you or not, but I don't want you to go away anywhere. Yeah. Does that mean I love you? I dunno, but if it does, I am glad. Henry and Enfira waited for the goblins shoulder to shoulder while quietly gazing up at the night sky. Epilogue. Boss lady, looks like you're ready. That was Jujimu's remark to Henry when he came into her house and saw her. Yeah, but you don't think I look weird? Henry asked, staring at the figure she cut in her best clothes, the ones she wore only for the harvest festival and other celebrations. Nothing weird about you at all, boss man. Yeah, you look pretty, Henry. Arg. Henry blushed and saw Jujimu and Nemu grinning out of the corner of her eye. Their smiles were more wicked than warm. She was of a mind to say a word or two to them about those expressions, which had been appearing more frequently as her relationship with Enfira progressed. At the same time, she wisely knew that her face would only become redder if she tried, so she kept her mouth shut. Still, leaving them like that was dangerous. Especially Nemu. Sometimes her sister asked her questions she had a hard time answering. I feel like she has developed a lot mentally over the past few days. I should let Enfira rescue me here. Catching her pleading glance for assistance, her boyfriend chimed in. Ahem. By the way, how is it going with the magic sword? Last time I asked it sounded like you were having trouble because it was different from other swords you had used. The great sword Jujimu carried was a magical blade he had acquired in the attack a few days ago. I finally got used to the weight and center of gravity, so I can use it as well as my other swords now. As you might expect of a magic weapon, it is sharper and whatnot. However, it is a bit lame that the poison running down the groove only lowers your opponent's strength. Really, it sounds like an amazing effect. It is not very strong poison. At our level, we can mostly resist it. If it only affects weaker enemies, it is not very. Jujimu looked a bit gloomy all of a sudden. What is wrong? Well, Jujimu looked up at the ceiling and then reluctantly spoke. The troll that had this sword, it just seemed strange. When I saw the corpse, it did seem different from a normal troll, like maybe a subspecies. No, I don't mean that, boss. The way it moved, the dysfunctional regeneration ability, the feel of cutting into it, it was strange. I got this eerie feeling it was already dead but still moving around. A moving corpse? You saying it was a zombie? I don't know. That sort of troll could exist. Hey, sorry I am late. The door burst open. Lupus Regina walked right into Henry's house with the sun at her back. A light smack sounded from her head, as if to speak for everyone who had been caught off guard. Ow, you dolt, is that any way to behave? Please excuse us, everyone. Yanking Lupus Regina, who was pressing a hand to her head, behind her, the woman who had been in the rear stepped in front of the door and bowed. I am Lord Aintz's maid, Yuri Alpha. I've come to collect Master Enfira, Miss Henry, and Miss Nemu. May I come in? Oh yes, please do. And you too, Lupus Regina. The woman thanked them as she entered with Lupus Regina. She was another heavenly beauty. Now then, if you're ready, I'll make the preparations to teleport us. Teleport? You can teleport? Enfira shouted. Henry had no idea why she was shouting, but she figured teleporting must be a big deal. It was amazing when the captain of the Royal Select and his men teleported too. Oh no. It's not my own power, but that of a magic item Lord Aints lent to me. The horn and the potions, it's all so amazing. It's just incredible that I can really take it all in. Enfira's shoulders slumped. Henry realized she had the chance to ask something she wanted to know for a while. She said, is it really okay for me to go? And for my sister? Today Enfira was invited to the house of the village's savior, Aints Ulgown. But she'd been anxious ever since she heard it was probably fine for her to go along. Sir Gown was an immensely powerful caster, essentially from a different world. Her stomach threatened to cramp whenever she wondered if she would accidentally do something rude. It's totally cool. This is to celebrate the potion NFI made, so Lord Ain't said it's fine for you to come along since you his girl. You don't have to fret over manners or etiquette. Lupu, please do something about that mouth of yours. Or Yuri, it's fine, isn't it? They my friends, right, En? Huh. Why yes, you right. The maid named Yuri sighed and walked over to the wall. Suddenly a big wooden frame appeared as if she had pulled it out of thin air. It was like an ornately carved picture frame large enough for people to pass through. Is that pocket space? No, I don't think you can put such big items in that, so it must be some more advanced magic. Okay, please enter. Lupu, can I leave guarding this place up to you? Yep. On the other side of the frame should have been the familiar wall, but instead it opened onto an unknown world. Yuri led the way through to the other side. Enfira went next. Henry followed a moment later, and then Nemu, who was holding her hand. There was no resistance as they crossed over. They found themselves in a magnificent hallway. Statues lined both sides, and they seemed liable to start moving at any moment. Wow, Nemu sighed in admiration. Her mouth gaped, and she craned her neck back to look up at the ceiling. Henry supported her so she wouldn't fall. She looked up too. Fantastic, the hallway's marble floor was polished to perfection. A gorgeous rug covered it. Henry was a bit astounded. This must be what it was like inside the royal palace. This way. Yuri's voice brought her to her senses. She ran to catch up with the other two, but running seemed out of place, so she slowed to a trot. After they walked a short distance, they came upon another frame in the wall. It was like the one from before, except for two things. First, it was many times larger than the other one. Several people could walk abreast and pass through without a problem. Second, they couldn't see through to the other side. Something covered the frame like a thin film. It radiated the colors of a rainbow. Please proceed through this one just like the last one. Henry and Enfira exchanged glances. Okay, want to go together? They held hands, lined up. Nemu, Henry, Enfira, from left to right. They stepped into the frame. For just an instant, Henry thought she saw a woman wearing red on the bottom and white on top. The woman stood among falling pink blossoms. Welcome. A chorus of perfectly synchronized voices greeted them. This was a hallway even more gorgeous than the last. Beautiful maids had lined up along either side. In the very back stood a figure wearing a strange mask. The figure wore a robe so deep raven black that it seemed to suck in the light. It was the caster who had saved their village, Aints Ulgown. Henry stood there blankly with her mouth hanging open. A glittering chandelier hung from the ceiling. There wasn't so much as a speck of dust on the white floor. The lovely women lining the splendid hall seemed to have come from a fantasy world. As she was standing, dazed, in this dream world, Henry felt Nemu suddenly let go of her hand. It registered hazily in a corner of her mind. Then in the next instant she was jerked back to reality. Nemu had taken off running. Wow, wow, awesome, she shouted, racing around at top speed. She sprinted past the maids and over to where Aints was. The sight must have been too much for her to handle. She couldn't contain herself as she went on a giddy rampage. Woo-oh, amazing, Nemu, get back here. Henry ran after her a moment later. Her sister's incredibly rude behavior turned her entire body into a fountain of sweat. But this place, lined with beautiful maids, was like a holy sanctuary. Henry didn't feel as though a village girl like herself should be racing around. Her legs expressed her contradictory thoughts directly. They ended up moving with a gait like a dying frog. While Henry was herking and jerking, Nemu had no trouble reaching the village's savior. Is it really that amazing? Yeah, it's way too amazing. I see, so it's amazing, huh? Well, yes, I suppose it is. Ain't slowly reached his hand out and gently caressed Nemu's head. This is where I live. It's great, isn't it? Yeah, really great. Did you build it, Sir Gown? Ha 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 ha. Yes, that's right. I built it with my friends. Wow, your friends are great too. Ha 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 ha. Cheerful laughter echoed throughout the corridor. Then Henry and Enfira finally nervously reached them. Henry grabbed Nemu's hand with a squeeze, showing she wouldn't let her go again. We are humbled and honored by your invitation. Thank you very much. Oh, you don't need to be so formal. We're here to celebrate the creation of your new potion. I do hope you can relax. My humble apologies, Sir Gown, for my little sister Nemu's rudeness. It's really nothing to worry about. She was moved by the sight of my home, right? In that case, it's my fault, isn't it? Aints replied in good humor. Let us see, the plan was to hear from Enfira, but Nemu, what do you think? Would you like to take a tour of the house that I know my friends and I built? Yeah, I want to see. Please show me your awesome mansion. Ha ha ha. Okay, I'll show you all sorts of things. Aints seemed to be in a good mood, so Henry couldn't say a word. Aints told Henry he wanted her to wait in the sitting room while he showed Nemu around. She sat lightly on the sofa. She glanced around nervously at her surroundings, like a little animal that had been kidnapped from its nest. Enfira sat next to her, though there was plenty of room. They huddled together, and he was so on edge that he also seemed like a frightened animal. Henry already knew that the savior of the village, the great caster Aints Gown, was an amazing person, but her imagination hadn't gone far enough. She felt like she'd wandered into a storybook world where a princess would appear. Everything was so glittering and dreamlike. Glass birds hung above the fireplace on the left and right, and they seemed liable to fly away at any second. If she broke one of these, she probably wouldn't be able to pay him back, even if she worked her whole life. The sofa she was sitting on was pristine, and she worried the dirt from her clothes would get on it. The light shining down from the first chandelier Henry had ever seen in her life was neither torchlight nor candlelight, but magic. She seemed to remember a chandelier at the Adventurers Guild in Rantel, but it hadn't been lit, and it wasn't as grand as this one. All the furnishings were tasteful and of excellent quality, especially the impressively solid ebony lacquered table sitting in front of her. Even if she didn't know the prices of these sorts of things, she could tell they were extraordinarily expensive. The painting on the wall was so detailed, it was as if the artist had taken a beautiful live woman and covered her in paint. She wondered if it was really all right for them to walk in their shoes on the carpet. It was so soft she wondered if she should lift up her feet as she sat on the couch. She wanted to minimize their contact with the carpet. Henry was so nervous she thought she might collapse. Maybe we should have gone with them. Aints had opposed it, but now Henry's stomach was doing somersaults, worrying about Nemu being on her own. I hope she's not causing trouble for him. I am sure she's fine. Sir Aints is a very understanding man. I don't think he'll be bothered just because a little kid does something rude. But you know, I heard making a noble angry can get you killed. I've heard those stories, but I've never seen it happen. Rantel is directly under the king's jurisdiction, so no nobles have flown off the handle there that I can remember. Is Sir Gown a noble? You don't think so? I am pretty sure only a noble would be powerful enough to have such splendid rooms and collect such pretty maids. I wonder, I don't think even nobles can get maids that pretty. Henri's eyebrows stealthily tilted to a dangerous angle. Although she called the maids pretty too, it was uncomfortable to hear it from Enfira. Just as she rolled her eyes to glare at him, they heard a knock. Eep. She jumped, and since Enfira was so close they were touching, it spread to him, and his whole body shuddered. The knock sounded again.